Hey, I'm Lorenza, founder of the Gwen Group. This is Woman Behind the Brand, spotlighting garden route founders, entrepreneurs, and women in business. This is their story. Welcome to the Women Behind the Brand, a video series where we get to know women founders, entrepreneurs, and women in business on the garden route. This is about the woman behind the brand, what she's built, what she's learned, and what makes her a true pro at what she does. Today I'm with Katy Heyns from Smith Tabata Attorneys. Katy is the relationship manager who keeps property transactions moving with clear communication, training support, and awesome service. I met Katy for the first time at the last Gwen event last November in Knysna, and I am just so thrilled that she has joined our community. So Katy, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
It's so lovely to be here, and thank you to all the Gwen Co ladies joining us today. Smith Tabata, very happy to be part of Gwen Collective.
100%, and I think you guys are obviously joining at the next Gwen event in George, and it's just going to be great. So before we get started, Katy, I wanted to have a little icebreaker. If you could choose a song that represented your work style or your work ethic, what would it be?
I'm driving on the boulevard. Ocean.
Fantastic. Okay, I love that. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so there are a lot of attorney firms on the garden route. What makes your approach stand out, and why do relationships matter so much in your work?
Okay, so first of all, I think the approach that Smith Tabata Attorneys have here in the garden route is the fact that we are one of the only conveyancing-only attorney firms in the garden route. This means that we are available 24/7 to our clients. We are not in court. We are not involved in any litigation or civil actions. So we are 100% there for our purchasers, for our sellers, and for our agents. Secondly, I think what makes my approach stand out more is I do have a business background, having come out of a manufacturing business that we were in for 30 years. So reliability and availability are two essential parts of what it is I think clients need. You know, they don't just need another pretty face sort of, marketing for the company. They need someone that actually understands the process and understands business and service levels. So I do think that approach is great in informing and maintaining my relationships with our clients.
Okay, great. I mean, I imagine in your work, clients firstly need to trust, the company, and then you, and then the process. What does trusting the process mean
Okay, so obviously when a transaction comes our way, the process has to be received, it has to be acknowledged to all parties involved. And then that is now the office, shall I say, clerical process. I also have a process within that process where I then will also contact the relevant parties, let them know we have indeed received it. Not only are you getting an email to say that we've received your transaction, and then as the steps go along the process with the drafting of the transfer documentation, the issuing of rates, clearance figures, or the application thereof, whether there are bonds required or bonds that need to be cancelled. There's a lot that has to take place, and that's why I, as a relationship manager, always like to know the whole story. I want to know, where is the seller going? Where is the purchaser coming from? Why is this date on the document so absolutely crucial, so that I am at all times in my own diary, not anything to do with our actual office and the process, but I'm in my own diary also very much on top of the deadlines and what needs to happen when. So yes, it just really does build an additional level, or shall I say layer, of reliability and trust, because it's,
Absolutely.
buying a home is a terribly emotional thing, for all parties involved.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, what is the thing that makes people panic? I mean, when they're, I imagine that's why you need to stay in such regular contact and keep kind of communicating with them at what stage they're at, and
Yeah.
what do people panic most about during a transfer out of all of the
Yeah.
situations you've
Well,
seen?
first of all, a large panic would be that the purchaser hasn't been able to come up with their funds or have a bond approval in place by the date which is specified on the contract. Another form for panic, which could mean then that transaction does not go ahead because the purchaser didn't come up with their funds. Then, of course, you've also got your very real panic stations where the municipality, I won't mention which municipalities in particular, the municipality can also take its time in their process. Sometimes you have sellers whose homes did not even, the actual municipal account was never transferred into their name. So now you first got that to correct. And then, of course, the very real thing of, well, if transfer takes place on the Thursday and I'm only supposed to be where I'm supposed to be on Saturday, where am I supposed to be Friday? And, that possibly wasn't taken into account on the contract where it's occupational rent, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a lot of continual double checking and triple checking oneself throughout the entire process.
Right now, I just want to talk a bit more about the kind of softer skills and at these business relationships. What would you say is one of the thing that you can do that makes the biggest difference to these business relationships? What would it be? For example, consistency or from your
Yes. So, well, first of all, I have to always and at all times remain teachable. I have, throughout my business dealings over the years, I've learned to communicate well with many people throughout all cultures. I think I can meet them where they're at on any level, and I can certainly provide my clients with that added, all right, let me step in on your behalf and I will discuss this very sensitive issue with the purchaser or the seller or the agent. Because, sometimes we don't always have clients that are always very forthcoming with the information required from them, or just not understanding that, what the one person is saying is indeed their responsibility. So I will make a phone call from my office and I'll soften the ground, and I will, what does my daughter say? Diffuse.
is the situation. And that's interesting because you have presented yourself as someone who is ultra available and can kind of do the dirty work behind the scenes when people aren't emotionally or intellectually available, perhaps. How do you kind of keep going with this? Like, what's the fire behind you so that you're not burning out, essentially, on taking on these emotional roles as well?
Yes. Well, I mean, as we all know, as women and in general, and women in business, we have a lot of balls to juggle, and heaven help us if we take our eye off one of them, because they will all come crashing down. But I really do try very hard to not allow myself to be ensnared by negativity, whether it's just the room that I'm in or the people I'm with. I really try to climb myself out of that. I think it's important for us as women in business and even in our personal lives to bring our own fragrance, our own flavor to the room, and be authentic.
Katy factor.
The Katy factor, because, ladies, there is only one you, and what you have adds so much value to those around you. And it is in my nature to be an encourager. So I generally would call out and say to a woman, wow, I really love how you managed that situation. Or, I actually will compliment them on it. And then they'll sort of be so shocked that you paid them a compliment. But women don't do that often enough. We don't tell each other, well done on how you handled that, or well done on your, just, you've got this lovely presence about you. I don't know you well enough yet, but please do keep that going on. So people really do light up my life. It's a very cliched thing to say. I did study public relations and marketing because I wanted to work with people. But here I am, all grown up and working with people and loving it. I am also a believer, and I love to encourage people. I love to empathize with them, meet them where they're at. Yes, I connect people. It's everything to do.
I think that's great. That's what makes you. That's the Katy. Putting in that little bit extra. I just wanted to talk a little bit now about a moment in business that's really tested you, and of course what you learned from it.
Yes. So I think, and I could actually show you something which is really corny, but I'd have to stand up off my seat to fetch it. My husband thought it was darling. He was going to frame it for me, and he did. And now I refuse to hang it in my office. But anyway, story for another time.
You want to go and...
Can I? Okay. Just a minute.
Yeah, go get it. Yeah, go get it.
So it was a paint by numbers picture. So that was my growth phase. That's where we raised our children. We had a happy home. It was all great. It was sports and all sorts. This was our middle phase here, which was a bit of a struggle. But God is greater than our highs and our lows. And here I'm standing on victory with my gold heel and my very plain Katy with a little bit of animal print. It's horrible, I know, but my husband thought this was so special. The middle bit, the blue...
I think it's really symbolic. That's a nice gesture.
Yeah, but it's horrible. I'm not hanging it. But that middle bit there was, I think a lot of us felt the problem and the aftermath of the COVID effect. And our business certainly did also. However, we had already planned to move through to the garden route, but our plan was put off by a year or two. But then COVID hit, and that sort of moved the goalposts. But the most difficult thing that I have ever been through in business and in life in general is that one has to just man up, stand up, and face those difficult conversations and make those difficult decisions. By putting your head in the sand like an ostrich is really going to get you nowhere. And again, there are so many people within our family, within our friendship circles, our community, who are wise. Lend your ears out to the wise, not to every fool who says what they think you should be doing. So seek wise counsel always, and don't be afraid, do it afraid, because there is blessing and so much good that can come from those very difficult times.
Love it.
So that's the best advice I have.
Yeah, I really love that. I think that's absolutely a keeper. I love that little quote that you put out there. That was beautiful.
So we may,
Katy,
we may all put ourselves in the same boat as women, and we are most certainly in the same boat. But ladies, don't forget, you're always an older sister to somebody and a younger sister to somebody. So my go-to would be, remember that you are forever the example. And unless we learn from those older than us and we glean from them, we aren't able to pass it down to those younger than us. So that imparting our wisdom and receiving wisdom from others is really helping us grow. So I really wish women did do more of that, But this is precisely why Gwen Co is so incredibly important, because you're supporting women in business. You're encouraging them to have conversations. You're encouraging them to be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, ladies. It's what we were created to be. The men are meant to be the strong ones. We're meant to be the nurturers. So nurture each other, love on each other, encourage each other, be vulnerable, and let's correct each other's crowns, fix the crown and pull her up, and let's help. So that's really my heart in business and in everything I do, and it's just who I am. So I love what I do.
I think, okay, so one last thing, and I would like you to, this is a quick fire round, and I would like you to just say the first thing that comes to mind in one word. So one word people would use to describe you.
Bubbly.
Great. One non-negotiable in how you serve clients.
Non-negotiable in how I serve clients.
Yes, in how you show
I
up.
have to get,
Time.
I have to
Okay, great.
respond. I have to get back to them
Yes,
immediately, as soon as possible.
great. Your best advice for building trust quickly?
Be true, be authentic, authentic. There you go.
Okay. Okay, great. So that was really lots of fun. Where can we find you to learn more? Obviously, I'm going to put all of your information down below in this video. And soon your Gwen Group Collective Business Network listing is going to be up on our site. But otherwise, smithtabata.co.
Yes, smithtabata.co.za. Go to the branches, and we have a branch in George as well as in Knysna. You can contact me directly on my cell phone. I take everybody's calls and anybody's calls, and on my email, KTH@Smith Tabata. And yes, happy to assist. If you're thinking of buying or selling, give me a call. I will walk you through what it is you can expect. No strings attached, but I'm there to serve. We're there to help.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
And also
you.
thank you for what you do. Yeah, I really appreciate the conversation and this approach of a relationship leading in your work, or and how you care so much about your service. So follow along and subscribe to this channel where we're going to meet other women behind the brand. And again, thank you so much, Katy.
Thank you. Cheers, ladies.
Bye.